You have found what lights you up. I'm your host, Sunny the Life Coach, and I'm here because I see you searching for something or someone out there to help you feel better. Something to take away the pain that you're feeling, the inadequacies. I know all of the things that happen in life can leave you feeling empty. Your search is over. This podcast is all about finding your own freedom and power to love yourself enough to shine in the ways you were always meant to, the ways in which you are already fully capable of. If you're ready for some real talk, some serious truth bombs, and a few F-bombs, you are in the right place. Let's do this. Let's get lit. Hello, welcome back if you are a returning listener, and if this is your first episode, I am building on previous episodes, so you may want to go back and start from the beginning. It would just be helpful, otherwise we'll still have a good time. Last week I colored my hair. It was an absolute mess with the new growth, and I had lots of options. I decided to go with pink. It is so bright. It's almost magenta. I've never done this before, but part of what I'm going through in my own transformation is understanding the areas in which I have control, especially right now when so much of our country is, still dealing with the outcomes of our global pandemic situation. But also for the majority of my adult life, I've worked in corporate environments. So I've never had crazy hair, piercings, tattoos, any of that. Partly because there's a dress code at those jobs, and partly because it's just something I didn't desire. Hadn't really thought about it. Then I decided that part of my freedom of working for myself means that I can change my look if that's what I want to do. So here I sit with bright pink hair that I'm still getting used to, but I kind of like it. It's one of those if not now, when moments. So with sincerest apologies to my colorist, I'm sure we will meet again someday and she will make it all better. In the meantime, I'm going with this. Speaking of things we can control, one of the most helpful things I've learned on my journey, and it has been a winding road, a rocky one full of briars and brush, and at times seemingly impossible and impassable. But one of the most helpful things I've learned along the way is that we humans crave love and acceptance. Well, duh. Where's the epiphany in that? You may be wondering. You took this long, winding road to learn something so obvious? But wait, there's more. Stay with me. This craving that we have for love and acceptance, it starts in childhood, doesn't it? There is a time in our lives when we are completely dependent on the adult in the room to handle our basic needs. Food, clothing, shelter, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It also includes love and belonging with friendships and family. When we are very young, we get all of the snuggles, cuddles, and security. If we are fortunate, that is what we get when we are very young in terms of having our needs met. And as we grow, we are constantly learning, and we begin to equate acceptance with approval. Is our behavior on par? Have we done the things we were supposed to do that make our parents and our teachers happy with us? Finished our chores, completed our homework, classwork, earned the good grades, approval, acceptance, love. We learn what the expectations of us are from our families and from society, and most of us do our best to conform. At some point, we try on a little rebellion to see what we can get away with, without losing it all, without losing the approval of others, that acceptance. What we've learned from our traditional programming from society is that our behaviors, our actions, will drive the results from others. That is what we have learned. That has been our programming along the way. That our behaviors, our actions, will drive the results from others. But if you've been paying attention to what I've shared with you so far, you might want to take a step back and really let this one sink in. The model that I shared with you in the last episode, episode 3, the model doesn't work that way. Your actions do not drive the results of other people or the results that you get from other people. The results are what you get. Their results are theirs to own. Sure, you may say something during a phone call that results in the person on the other line hanging up on you. Your result is a dial tone, yes. But that didn't happen because you said what you said during the call. It happened because of what the other person thought about what you said, what they thought about what you said. Then came their feeling, action, result. They are living out their own model or movie scene while you are living out yours, and they can be completely different experiences, can't they? Mind blown. When you start to realize that it isn't just you creating your emotions from your thoughts, but that everyone around you is doing the same thing with their own thoughts about what is currently happening, what has happened, might happen, whatever the circumstance is or was, your entire perspective shifts. Everything shifts when you start thinking about the fact that everyone is walking around with their own model in their own movie scene. You begin to see the world differently. You begin to see the humans differently. However, until you get there, you will continue to live with this false belief that you can control how other people treat you, how they process your behaviors, like that child. It's as if that child is still inside of you, providing the direction based only on the evidence that she has experienced. That training through repetition. If I did my chores, I got the grades, I worked hard, there's a reward for that, right? Not always. By the time we reach adulthood, most of us have been exposed to enough disappointments to recognize there are sometimes what we see as imbalances. Life isn't fair. Every scene does not have a happy ending. Those are thoughts, and we can choose different thoughts. That choice is always available to us. But instead of looking inward and trying on new thoughts to think, we spend a lot of time and effort trying to get someone else to think different thoughts. It's freaking crazy now that I think about it. And I do a lot of thinking now. Well, I mean, not really more than I ever did before. Let me rephrase that. I do a lot of intentional thinking now. I have much more awareness of what I can control, like changing the color of my hair if that is my decision, right? But the things I control, it's a very short list. It includes your thoughts, feelings, actions, basically everything in the model except the circumstance. And remember that one of the circumstances I have been giving you since episode 2 is what other people say. What they say, what they do, and especially what they think is not something you can control. Yet we spend a shit ton of time and effort on trying to do just that, controlling what they say, what they do, and what they think. We think that if we look a certain way, dress a certain way, behave a certain way, that that's how we get someone to fall in love with us and stay there. We think we can get someone else to believe what we believe, to share our same core values, like religion, political, humanitarian, through the art of persuasion, either written or spoken. We'll just persuade everyone else to believe all of the things that we believe and think what we think and just see it our way, right? I see this all the time on social media. We have some notion that we can change the hearts and minds of others with our eloquent comment. I mean, how crazy is that really? Think about it. We put so much time and effort and angst behind some of these comments that we're putting out there, trying to get everyone else to see it our way. It's just fascinating, really. We think that if this person will just like me exactly the way I am, then we will be happy, fulfilled. Check that box. Acceptance achieved. It doesn't even occur to us that that other person may be having similar experiences with us and with others. Kind of flip the script. Like, what are their experiences? What are they going through? We have no idea. We just don't. And no, we're too busy trying to find the exact remote that controls the other human. What button do I need to push to get the action I'm looking for? Is there a universal remote that I can buy and program just right? Because if my husband would just do and say the things I envision in my mind would bring me a lot of bliss, then all will be right with the universe, wouldn't it? So we dig a little deeper between the couch cushions for the right remote control. After all, there's 50 million of them in this room alone. One of them has to work, right? So many of us have thoughts about other people's thoughts constantly. This is true on any given day, yet especially now during the pandemic and the associated circumstances that we find ourselves in. It's like this collective circumstance that we're in together. But that's why it's true anytime. And you can see it so much easier now. It's heightened currently because so many people are making the thoughts and actions of others literally mean life and death. I engaged ever so briefly in a discussion online a few days ago about high school senior graduation topic. And the words were that people are dying, others need to stop whining about the loss of a traditional ceremony, comparing the despair, right? A couple of us commented that it's okay for the feelings to be there, the loss, the grief, even if it seems trivial by comparison to someone else, that's their movie. And I didn't say that in my comment, but I'm explaining to you kind of where I was coming from. Just a couple of sentences out there. Hey, it's really okay for someone to feel this and to feel that grief. Just decided to give that a shot. Social, see how that went. And the person said, some of you are missing my point. And that was kind of, maybe pretty quickly after my own comment. So, of course, I took that to mean that I was included in the some of you, right? Some of you are missing my point, which is a not so veiled code for I need you to agree with me, full stop. Agree with me. See my point. The point is not what they're feeling. This person is saying, that's not my point. The point's not what they're feeling, but the actions they are taking. That's what I'm mad about. That's what she was saying. She was mad about. I'm not mad that they feel this. I'm mad that they're taking action that could hypothetically have impact on me somewhere down the line. Just spinning this web all of a sudden of possibilities fueled by the actions of others. I'm not mad that they're feeling, I'm mad that they're acting. Well, why be mad about any of it? You are making yourself mad with your own thoughts about other people's thoughts or actions or behaviors. They are not making you mad. You are. You are. Because you have an idea in your mind of what they should be doing. And any deviation of that ideal is unacceptable. They need to change. They need to change for you to feel okay. How's that working for you? I know it's hard to see easily. I absolutely get it. It's why I feel it's one of the most powerful truths to understand. We're not always going to line up with it. Our brains are constantly going to push back and tell us that if other people would just do what we want them to do, then all will be right in our worlds. But that's not even true. It's what you think is true. And furthermore, it's going to cause you even more emotional suffering when you give your power over to someone else's actions or behaviors, especially total strangers, especially them. Your loved ones, they may actually adjust their behaviors to try to please you. That possibility is there. They may at least make an attempt. The general public, though, not gonna happen. Never going to happen. It has never worked out like that. And your thoughts that everyone else should fall in line with the same thoughts that you have because we're in a pandemic is only going to further your frustration. You've got to let that shit go. You have to be willing to allow all of the people to say what they say, feel what they feel, and make their own choices. They're going to anyway. You getting all torn up about it only hurts you. Focus on your own movie scenes, your own model. Instead of reacting and grabbing a drink because everyone around you is driving you crazy, especially all of those humans going about their lives right now, don't they understand? Listen, the model is so simple. A child can understand it. And I wish I had known this as a child. I truly do. Or even just 20 years ago. I mean, that would be good, right? That would have been okay for me to have had this information 20 years ago or so. But you know what? I have it now, and there's a magic in the way all of this is coming together. Now I have it. Now is when I'm supposed to have it. It is working out just as it is supposed to. But it seems to me that in our most impressionable years, those formative years, as we are trying so hard to navigate our social games, it would have been most valuable to know, wouldn't it? So about a year or so ago, my son came inside from playing. He slammed the door. He was so upset. He was around 9 or 10 at the time, mad as hell that another kid had taken the ball from him as they were playing outside. I was totally curious in that moment as to whether I could get him to see this. But I thought, what do I have to lose? He'll either get it or he'll think I'm crazy, and either one was an acceptable risk or result for me. I sat down with him, I wrote it out, I explained what each line meant, and I started asking questions. We did 2 models side by side. I just wrote it out on a piece of scrap paper and sat down at the table for 10 freaking minutes. That's all it took. So for the first one, I asked him what he thought about the ball being taken from him. The circumstance. Ball being taken from him, circumstance. Completely neutral. He said, I just want to play and he's being mean to me. Meaning his friend. Okay, that's fair. That's his thought. I can't tell you how many times I've said that to myself, and I'm significantly older than 10. So, he's being mean to me. Okay, yep, I get it. How did you feel? Well, I felt sad. Of course. At this point, I was able to finish for him because I could see what his action and result was. He stormed off and he's no longer playing. I showed him how just very simply, I showed him how it all tied together though, and it started with his thoughts about the other kid taking the ball. Then I introduced the idea of trying a new thought, maybe trying to see from his friend's perspective. Although we can certainly never know what someone else is thinking or what their true intention may be, sometimes it's helpful to just step outside of your own movie scene playing in your head for a freaking second and get curious about alternate scenes. What might that look like? What might land in the director's cut? I don't know. Let's just try something else. So when I asked him what an alternative thought could be, hypothetically, let's pretend, you know what he said? He said, maybe he's just having fun, in reference to his friend taking the ball from him. Maybe he's just having fun. That's an alternate thought. I didn't prompt that from him. I swear he was able to see it for himself, that perhaps another way to process what that other kid did to him was that maybe that other kid was just having fun. So that changes everything, doesn't it? The other kid maybe wasn't being sinister or mean or anything else other than just being in the moment. And then suddenly it doesn't become about my son. It's not being done to him. It's just something that happened. And it could go either way. There's the initial thought that he had, and there's an alternative to that. Whoa. What? And by the way, his result with that alternate model was that he could still be playing outside, having his own fun, instead of sitting at that table with me doing dumb exercises on paper. And so off he went. But he was a different kid than the one who had stormed inside moments before, all because he could clearly see that it was his thoughts that had him sideways, not the other kid taking the ball from him. I dare not say he was enlightened. That is a total stretch. But I do think he learned something valuable in that moment. And I think we all can learn something valuable from those moments if we just take a step back and think, what is an alternative? Will he have to learn over and over? Of course, many times over. We learn through repetition. Hell, I'm still learning. And he still thinks girls are dumb, so we have fun times ahead. And now I ask, who has taken the ball from you? Snatched it out of your hands, perhaps laughing all the way, and you made it mean something about you. Something more that you have to say or do or convince the other person to see things your way, to control their thoughts and actions because you've decided they will impact your happiness, what they do or say. What was it? Or what is it? Does that ball represent some ideal that you have decided will lead to your happiness? The relationship, the job, the house, the family? What do you think someone else is controlling? And if you only had your finger on the right button, you could flip that channel to the one you really want to see, the show you really want to see, the movie that you have in mind. And what can you see? Can you see that it's really you that wants the control? Can you now see that there's only a short list of what you can control, and it does not include the other humans? It never did. It only includes your thoughts about them. Your search for that remote control is going to be endless as long as you keep searching for that. It's true that you're not going to find that control externally through the behavior and the perceived acceptance of others. You can only find that within yourself. And that, my friends, is where your power truly lies. I will close with a quote today from Elizabeth Gilbert. She says, "You need to learn how to select your thoughts just the same way you select your clothes every day. This is a power you can cultivate. If you want to control things in your life so bad, work on the mind. That's the only thing you should be trying to control." Boom. I look forward to continuing to share what I know with you. In the meantime, if you would like to work with me, please visit my website at sunnythelifecoach.com or follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Talk to you soon. Shine on.